Hello and welcome back to Catch and Cook California. I'm Kevin. There's really not enough content out there, I think, about foraging gear, foraging books, types of gifts that an aspiring forager or even a seasoned forager might actually like. It's the beginning of December and I want to talk about some holiday gift ideas. First things first, a shameless plug for my guide service. I do offer gift certificates if you're interested in local guided foraging or mushroom identification courses. I teach people how to spearfish, and I also teach survival courses. Hit me up, I'd love to take you out. The Department of Fish and Wildlife sells fishing license vouchers. Now this one here is a lobster card, but basically it's just a placeholder. You can pick up a fishing license voucher for your loved one at any Dick's Sporting Goods or Big 5. And those fishing licenses are going to be good for any kind of fishing, but also freedive spearfishing or coastal foraging. If you're going for sea urchin, then I definitely recommend a pry bar. Hoop nets can be purchased at most local sporting goods shops, as well as the Manor Ace Hardware in Pacifica. These hoop nets work incredibly well down in the rocky intertidal zone, but they also work very well over sand for Dungeness crab. I also recommend a clam gun. You can pick these up at Gus's Discount Bait and Tackle. These work exceptionally well for going after horseneck and Washington clams. I also love throwing crab snares. Just make sure that you're getting an 8,000 rated reel and that your rod can handle the weight of throwing a crab snare. Those crab snares themselves are also great stocking stuffers. If you're poke pulling, you're definitely going to want a good net, whether you're going for rockfish or if you're going for eels. And whether you're clamming or poke pulling, you're going to want some good waders. A good headlamp, always a good thing to have. This one's made by Pelican, the 2765, solid light. Something like that is always a good thing to keep in a backpack, which is also a great item. Something to carry all of your gear. On there I've got a stainless steel water bottle. I like a single-walled stainless steel water bottle, and the reason being, you can fill it up in a stream, put that on a fire, and you can purify water. You have a double-walled or insulated bottle, you can't do that. Along those lines, if you were to get lost, a good thing to have in your kit as a backup is some kind of a survival kit. And in that survival kit, some water purification tablets, some kind of a cutting tool. Mora makes some great fixed blade knives that I definitely recommend. Always good to keep a Bic lighter with you, but a ferro rod, a ferrocerium rod is also a nice thing to keep in your pack. That way you have a backup fire source. Some paracord or some type of cordage and some type of a tarp or canopy. All of these are good things to keep on you, even though you don't plan to get lost in the woods. If you have everything with you to spend the night in the woods, then theoretically you'll be alright. Now one thing I absolutely love is cooking outdoors, and I really love my Coleman propane 2-burner stove. But a nice compact little backpacking stove goes a long way as well. Also some outdoor cookware, nice plates, forks, etc., and spices. Some kind of a spice kit goes a long way. These are great stocking stuffers. If your loved one is a diver and you want to get them a solid gift that will keep on giving because it'll help you catch lobster, get them a nice dive light. I recommend this one. I did a whole video on it and I'll leave a link in the description. And here are some of my clients showing you how to use these inexpensive fiberglass pole spears. I did a few videos showing how they work and they really work. So it makes a nice little holiday gift. I will tell you though, if you're going to give this gift, understand that these are made to kill. So don't just hand them out and then turn your back. You need to make sure people understand that they're not loading and shooting these in the house. These are absolutely lethal. And that same pry bar that we used for prying urchin in the intertidal by foot, well, you can use that while you're freediving as well. And again, a crab gauge that works great for crab snaring or for intertidal foraging for crab is going to work just as good for diving. I like to keep an extra one on my dive boards. Dive gear that wears out very quickly includes your gloves and your booty socks. Another piece of gear that wears out quickly are spear gun bungees and pole spear bungees. You can see this one is just about to break. If you're interested in spear guns, one of the guns I've been using in these videos is the Rob Allen 700. I really recommend it. If the loved one in your life has a boat and they're looking to get into crabbing, I don't think it gets much better than these volcano-style Promar crab hoop nets. Now, I absolutely love mushroom season. It's one of my favorites. And if you're going to get into this, there's a number of tools that are going to make your job a little bit easier. One of those tools is a nice vessel to carry your mushrooms. Now, in some places, I carry mine in a paper bag to be more discreet, but in some places, we favor a nice basket. And a good quality basket will last you a long, long time. Now, obviously, when we're mushroom foraging, we want to be absolutely 100% positive on our identification of these mushrooms before we eat them. So, we use mushroom books. And these are the books that I recommend. Without a doubt, a good guidebook is worth its weight in gold. This is the book that I usually use when I'm teaching mushroom identification courses here in California. This is a guidebook to mushrooms of the West. This book is much thicker, as you can see. Both of these are written by David Aurora. He did an incredible job on this, and as far as I'm concerned, the dude deserves an honorary PhD for his contribution to the mushroom foraging scene. This little book here is very thin. They call it the Hip Pocket Guide, All That the Rain Promises and More. This can fit in your pocket. This one doesn't. I keep this one in the car in case something is not in this book and I still want to figure out what it is. That being said, if it was just one book, you can get this one. It's got all of our local edible mushrooms, at least any of the mushrooms that you'd want to know, as well as any potential toxic lookalikes. But be warned, just having a book is not enough. You have to know how to use it. So, whether it's with me or someone else, I highly recommend that you take a mushroom identification course and learn how to use the key in the book. If you're getting into mushroom foraging, the right kind of knife goes a long way. This one's made by Opinel. This is an old French company. I think they're about 100-year-old design, and one of the really cool things about it is they changed one design attribute, which is this here. You turn it, and now the blade will no longer fold down. It's an old school lock. Other than that, it's the same old design. Ergonomic, nice and rounded, very comfortable in your hands, curved blade so it makes it very easy to cut mushrooms, and once we turn it, close it up, it has a brush on the back. It's a very handy mushroom knife. It's one of my favorites. It's one my mom got me for Christmas. Of course, you can also just pick up a brush and a knife, so that will absolutely work. These brushes are about $1 from any hardware store. I also recommend a Peterson field guide. That'll help you identify your local trees. The relationship between specific trees and specific species of edible mushrooms is something that I always try to emphasize. Now I'm going to get more into this as I start to progress with a series on mushroom identification, but one thing I will say is whether it's for fish or for game or for mushrooms, a great tool to have is a good quality vacuum sealer. This is one of those things that is a gift that keeps on giving. It helps you preserve your food for the long term. Another great tool would be a food dehydrator, and if you're going to get one of those, make sure it's got an internal fan. These types of tools allow you to preserve your food for longer, and they are absolutely invaluable. Additionally, there's a number of different books I would love to recommend. Shumash Ethnobotany and Temelpak. Both of these are incredible compilations of Southern California indigenous plant knowledge. The Laws Field Guide to the Sierra Nevadas has tons of information on animals, plants, insects, and fish identification. And the Pacific Coast Berry Finder is a great start for anyone looking for wild berries up the North Coast. Pacific Northwest Foraging applies to all kinds of Central and Northern California coastal resources. Kirk Lombard's The Sea Forager's Guide to the Northern California Coast is hands down the best manual for California coastal foraging and nearshore fishing. Finally, I just want to say, you don't always have to get a gift that's brand new for someone. So for instance, I picked up a used sit-on-top ocean kayak, and it's one of my favorite tools for accessing reef and portions of rivers that I wouldn't otherwise be able to get to. I just saw one of these on Craigslist in the Bay Area for $150, and I'm sure you've got friends in your life who would absolutely appreciate a used gift. The other thing is, you can make gifts for people, and sometimes that means a lot. I've done it many, many years where I carve people's spoons and spatulas and things like that, And my sister-in-law kind of started this tradition by making us homemade jam and jellies and canning vegetables and fruit. Well folks, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that helps some of you with some holiday gift ideas. I'm going to start a new series next week that's going to be mushroom identification with a little catch and cook of each individual species. And I'll keep doing that intro to spearfishing series as well. So, until next time, keep the old ways alive. To start out with, no, I'm just kidding. So I also recommend a Peterson field guide. That can be, I see oyster mushrooms right now.